Hey guys, welcome to The Cult. This is a show that I do Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. where we really talk about whatever I feel like talking about on any given day, and I kind of feel like talking about the Groypers today. How cool was that video? That was a video of just all the different emails that were sent to Jason Miller and Chris Lasavitas at the Trump campaign the other day. And they threw that video together just like, I mean, immediately. You have to admit, listen, again, I said this last night on a Twitter space. And part of the reason I'm doing this stream today is I did this Twitter space last night to talk about some of this stuff. And apparently my mic was all fucked up. And I don't know why that's happening lately on Twitter spaces. Like my mic used to be fine on Twitter spaces, and now I'm having this problem where on some Twitter spaces, all of a sudden my mic starts to get like robot voice, and I don't know why. But anyway, so I did this Twitter space last night talking about this stuff, and apparently I had a great monologue. It was a really, really, really great monologue, and my mic effed up, and I had a robot voice apparently. But one of the reasons I wanted to do this was to essentially just talk to people a little bit more now that the Groyper war is really heating up, and you can already see it's having an impact. I mean, one of the things I said last night on that Twitter space is I've been in the land of politics for 4.5 years now. I never wanted to be in this land. I'm not even really that politically active necessarily. I'm not working for any of the parties. I'm not working for any of the organizations. I actually don't want to be involved. But I'm obsessed with the far left, and so I end up in this space. And it was how I came into it. Was I was the conservative darling for a year. And I guess the point I want to make is in the 4.5 years that I have been in this space, I have been searching for a group of people that are as focused and as productive as the Groypers. That's just reality. You know, I take a lot of shit where people are like, Carlin, you just change your mind all the time. Well, first of all, my whole story was about changing my mind. So I don't understand why people are always so surprised that I changed my mind. I don't understand why people are so surprised that I take in new information, I process the new information, and if I feel so inclined based on the new information, I change my mind. That was literally my entire effing story from the beginning. But I take a lot of grief online because people are like, Carlin just burns bridges with all these groups, and you know, she just goes from group to group to group, cloud chasing and blah, 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 blah. Well, that's not entirely true. What happens is repeatedly I've gotten involved in groups, and then those groups have shit the bed due to infighting and egos and nonsense. And at some point I go, I'm not spending any more time on you. I'm not expending any more energy on you. Nope. Nope. Not doing it. That's what happened to me with conservatives. For people who don't know my backstory, I was thrown into the conservative right at the beginning of 2020 when I published an article on Medium about being a Democrat that went to a Trump rally. I never thought anyone would read it. It ended up going really viral on the internet, and I was on all these shows. I was lifted up for the entire year of 2020 as the token Democrat who left the Democratic Party to vote for Donald Trump. I was on all these shows. I did a PragerU video, biggest mistake of my life. I was trotted around. I did rallies every single weekend for 6 months to try to get Democrats to leave the party to vote for Donald Trump. I did all this stuff. I was at January 6th. I even got an FBI interview out of it. Experience I never thought I'd have in my life. And after Joe Biden took office back in 2021, I came back to New Hampshire and I started getting involved in the anti-critical race theory movement in New Hampshire because the state of New Hampshire was the first state to introduce a state-level ban on critical race theory. Now, this was before most people knew what critical race theory was. I knew what critical race theory was because I was the one who broke one of the big initial stories about critical race theory back in 2020. In 2020, I broke a story that the city of Seattle was doing segregated training with its employees. They had one training for Black employees. They had another training for white employees. I got whistleblower documents. I put them out on Twitter, and that story blew up. It was covered everywhere. The Daily Wire covered it. I was on the Blaze for it. All this up everywhere. This story was. This was one of the first major CRT stories, and it just came from me getting whistleblower documents and putting them on Twitter. Chris Rufo launched his career on the basis of that story. Because at that time, I didn't consider myself a journalist at that time. I considered myself to be a person who had access to information, and I put it out there, and I was like, hopefully a real journalist follows up on this, because I had no idea what I was doing at the time. Chris Rufo was the only journalist that followed up on it, and he took that story and he did a lot of FOIA requests. He lived out in the Pacific Northwest. This was close to him. He did all these FOIA requests, and this was the story that launched Chris Rufo's career. Also, in February of 2021, I broke the Coke Be Less White story. This is one of the biggest anti-woke stories of like all time. This is the one that to this day people still remember. I got over, and this was a different time on Twitter. I think I would actually gotten well over 100 million views today if I broke that story. But like at that time, I got over 30 million views on my Twitter account alone for that story. It was all over the news. It was all like Tucker Carlson covered it, Glenn Beck covered it. It was fucking everywhere. There were memes for days about the Coke Be Less White story. For people who might not know, basically Coke was doing this training with their employees where there was literally a slide in it that said try to be less white. It was by Robin DiAngelo. That training later ended up getting pulled off of LinkedIn because Coke wasn't the only company that was doing this training with their employees. Anyway, that was me. So I give people this backstory not to pat myself on the back too much, although I think I do deserve more of a pat on the back than most people are inclined to give me. I tell this story because this was my issue back then. This was the thing I was concerned about. And so I came back to New Hampshire after Joe Biden took office, and I started working with state legislators who were trying to do this anti-CRT bill in the state of New Hampshire. It was the first state to introduce a state-level ban on critical race theory. And this was before critical race theory this was before people understood what critical race theory was. And I would say today, most people still don't actually understand what critical race theory is. But back then, most people had never even heard of it. Okay. So what I was doing in New Hampshire was running around to all these Republican clubs, and I was doing just these presentations at these Republican clubs, explaining to them what critical race theory was and why we needed to ban it. And this kind of culminated with there were a couple things that happened with that. The first thing that happened, people need to understand. If people want to know why I walked away from the Republican Party after I walked away from the Democratic Party, it was because the Republicans fucking betrayed me. It was the Republicans who stabbed me in the back. So what happened is I was sinking all my time and all my energy into this anti-CRT thing in New Hampshire. And guess what happened? The Republicans sabotaged their own bill. Because at that time, the Republicans controlled the House of Representatives in New Hampshire. The Republicans controlled the state Senate in New Hampshire. And the Republicans controlled the governorship of New Hampshire in the form of Chris Sununu. Chris Sununu sabotaged the anti-CRT bill that I had dedicated all this time to working on because he wanted to kiss the asses of the teachers' unions. He watered it down so that it didn't mean anything. And I was screaming about this. I was like, this is not going to work. This is not actually going to ban critical race theory. This isn't actually going to work. And no one listened. And when I tried to tell people, and I was on Glenn Beck's show talking about this. One of the state legislators I was working with was on Glenn Beck's show. This is how much we were screaming. Like, Chris Sununu is sabotaging this state level bill. And you know the response I got from Republicans? Carlin, it doesn't matter, okay? I don't know why you're going against us on this. I don't know why you're making such a big deal out of it, because you sabotaged the one fucking bill that I cared about. So this kind of culminated for me where it was April of 2021, and I was doing this rally out in front of the State House in New Hampshire. And there's a literal video of this rally if people don't believe me. It's on my second YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/activelyunwoke. I think it's like the video that's like right up at the top of the page. And we can look it up if people don't believe it. There's literal video of this speech. So I was at the rally. That was the anti-CRT rally. Lily Tang Williams organized it. Lily Tang Williams, awesome person. She's running for Congress in New Hampshire. She's just awesome woman. Don't have enough good things to say about her. So Lily Tang Williams organized this rally. She invited me to speak. And as I was giving my speech, I was looking out over the crowd of the rally. And do you know who showed up to that rally? Libertarians. Republicans didn't show up. This was a rally, quite literally, in support of a Republican bill. And Republicans didn't even show up for it. Libertarians showed up for it. And that was the moment as I was giving that speech where I was like, fuck this shit. Like, Republicans don't actually care about anything. They don't care about this. It's just a political game. What am I even doing? And that was when I joined the Libertarian Party. So people give me a lot of shit. They say, Carlin just jumps from group to group to group to group to group. It's not what happens. This is just one example. So I left. I stopped working with the Republicans. And I went to work with the people who were actually showing up, who were actually doing things, who were actually focused on some sort of goal. Now, what I didn't know at the time is that being involved in libertarian politics is a bit like herding cats. There is so much infighting, and there is so much drama, and there's so much nonsense. But when I got involved with the Libertarian Party, this was leading up to the Mises Caucus takeover of the Libertarian Party. So I was a member of the Mises Caucus. I was heavily involved. I was learning all the political things. I was part of the takeover that happened, which, again, another thing I regret, because now the Mises Caucus is completely shit the bed, but that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is about groups and productivity. I promise this is going somewhere relating to the Groypers. I promise. Bear with me. So I got involved with the Mises Caucus and the Libertarian Party. I was fully committed to helping the Mises Caucus take over the Libertarian Party. And it was all going great because at that time there was a focused enemy. And that enemy was for lack of a better term, the establishment Libertarian Party. Not that it's really establishment, but that's what I'm going to call it. The status quo Libertarian Party. That was the enemy. And so leading up to the Mises Caucus takeover of the Libertarian Party, that was in May of 2022, everyone was focused. And we had a common enemy. And that was what people were working on. And we won. The Mises Caucus took over the Libertarian Party. It was awesome. And then as soon as the Mises Caucus took over the Libertarian Party, they started to shit the bed. It was the same old thing. It was constant infighting, constant bickering, constant bullshit, constant drama. This was true with the Mises Caucus nationally. This was true with the Mises Caucus in New Hampshire. This was true with the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire. This was true with the Libertarian Party nationally. This was true on every single level. The Mises Caucus fucked up so badly on every single level. And I won't go into all the details, but, ultimately, it actually led up to the Mises Caucus in New Hampshire being completely disbanded. And I didn't have anything to do with that. That had to do with the National Mises Caucus basically giving the finger to the LPNH and saying, fuck you guys. And they kicked literally everyone out of the Mises Caucus. So, currently there is no Mises Caucus in New Hampshire. I tell this story because people think that I keep jumping from group to group to group for no good reason. No, there's always a good reason. Anytime I am connected with a group of people, there's a reason and a purpose for it. And if it doesn't have a reason or a purpose, then I'm going to leave. And that's exactly what happened. At the end of 2022, I had put up with so much bullshit in the Libertarian Party. I had offered to put my name on the ballot as a paper candidate for governor. I didn't even run a campaign or anything. It was literally just to have a name on a ballot. I got massively fucked over by my own party. And it was just drama for a full year. Every day. And so at the end of 2022, after the midterms, I said, I'm done. Uncle, I don't want to do this anymore. And that's when I really started focusing on my work. And I started focusing on me and what I wanted to build. And I built my Substack up to be the engine that drives my monetization so I can actually afford to do this. I ramped up my undercover journalism. I ramped up my deep dives into the far left. And since then, I individually have created more content about more unique original content that literally no one else has about what is going on the far left than anyone else on the internet. And it's not even close. There is no one that comes close to me. And I did that all on my own because with the help of volunteers in my community. I should mention that. I'm not 100% on my own, with the help of volunteers in my community. And I bring that up because I don't actually need to be connected to any specific group. I am actually at my most productive when I am not connected to any specific group. So if I'm going to connect with a group and I'm going to start hanging around with a group, there's going to be a good goddamn reason for it. Because I feel like I've just been betrayed over and over and over and over and over again by every group I've gotten involved with, to the point where I'm just like, it's not worth it anymore. Then October 7th happened. And after October 7th, things changed. Now, I always used to keep an eye on Nick Fuentes and the Groypers. And this is documented on my channel. People can go back and look. I said a lot of less than complimentary things about Nick Fuentes in the past. We all know that. Quite frankly, Nick Fuentes has said some less than complimentary things about me, and that's fine. But I always kept an eye on him because, quite frankly, I thought that he was dangerous, and I was worried about what he was going to do. Because I knew he had this community of young men that loved him, that were really motivated, that were really active, that would do anything he said. And he was saying some crazy things, and you guys got to admit he was saying some crazy things. And then they put him in front of a backdrop with bullets where he was declaring a holy war, and I was like, man, really? Really? But then October 7th happened, and October 7th changed a lot of things. I think the most important thing that October 7th did was it created a really clear dividing line between who was real and who was an inauthentic grifter. And I started tuning into Nick Fuentes' shows, or his Twitter spaces. It was Yasmin, actually. It was Yasmin, who Yasmin is now kind of like hanging around with the Groypers too. Yasmin would come into my chat and she'd DM me, be like, Carlin, Nick Fuentes is doing a Twitter space. And so it was Yasmin and I following Nick. This was back when Nick's out. I think it was his Apple account, right? We're following Nick around Twitter, just waiting for Nick to do a Twitter space, because I was like, Nick is going to be peak insane right now. And then I started listening to what Nick says, because that's what I do. Spoiler alert for people who don't watch my content. I literally spend all of my time listening to the full form content of what people say. I don't look at clips. I look at full presentations from start to finish. We spend a dozen hours doing this every single week, if not more. So I started to listen to Nick's shows. And I was like, oh shit. Was Nick Fuentes the voice of reason all along? Really? Really? Because you got to understand, I never really cared about Israel. Never really cared about it. Never cared if someone was Jewish, which is funny because the PragerU crowd's been calling me an anti-Semite since December of 2020 because I said that everyone goes to heaven, even Hitler. Okay, I said it a little bit differently than that, but that was what I was saying. I think that every single person that has ever lived will go to heaven, because I think that God's love is unconditional. No matter what we do here, God's love is unconditional. But you say that on Twitter and the PragerU crowd's going to call you an anti-Semite. So I'd already been called an anti-Semite for 2 years up until that point. But I never actually cared about Israel. I never actually cared about Jewish anything. I never actually looked into it. It had never even occurred to me really to question. Of course, I would never question the Holocaust. The Holocaust happened exactly as they said it did. No less than 6 million people died in the Holocaust, obviously. Obviously. But it never even occurred to me to question any of that stuff up until October 7th. And then I watched, literally in horror, as Israel starts perpetrating a genocide against the Palestinians. Now, I come from the left. The Free Palestine movement has been a thing on the left for 20 plus years. The Free Palestine movement has been a thing on the left since I was in college. It's not a new thing. Israel has always treated the Palestinians with subhuman cruelty. Always. And I've always been anti-war. Anti-war has always been one of my number one issues since day one. I was protesting the Iraq War on the Boston Common when I was in college. So after October 7th, watching Israel actively trying to genocide the Palestinians, watching the reaction of the Jewish influencers calling for them to be slaughtered without having any self-awareness that these are human beings. They're human beings just as much as anyone else. I was so disgusted by all the behavior that I saw among the conservative Twitterati, and that's when you really start to see the narratives spin up. The narratives of, there are human shields, they're all human shields. Okay, apparently every Palestinian is a human shield, and so it's okay to slaughter them. You start seeing this narrative of everyone who thinks that what Israel is doing is bad is a far leftist. And I was like, really? You're going to call me a far leftist? You're going to say I support BLM because I think that what Israel is doing is objectionable? I've literally created more anti-communist content than any of you guys have put together. That was what I thought when I saw Chris Rufo fucking shilling this narrative of everyone who supports Palestine and the Palestinians, they're all far leftists. I was like, bitch, I launched your fucking career. I create more anti-communist content in a month than Chris Rufo creates in a fucking year. And that's not, and I'll give Chris Rufo full credit for a lot of the stuff he's done, because quite frankly, a lot, and you know what? I'll say, I think that Chris Rufo has done a lot of amazing work, but don't fucking tell me that I'm a far leftist just because I don't support Israel. So after October 7th, a lot of things were revealed. And I've talked about this before in various places. You could look over the internet and look at the influencers and look at the people who had platforms and go, real, real, fake, real, fake, real, fake, fake, real. And it was an interesting thing that happened because after October 7th, and I don't know if other people had this experience, but I certainly did, people who I may have had beef with in the past, it kind of just all melted away, to be honest. Because I think a lot of people had the similar experience that I did, where a lot of people used to think I was fake. I'm pretty sure Nick thought I was fake at some point. And I understand why. I really do. Because every single time the right trots out a Democrat that left the left to support Donald Trump, they always turn out to be fake. So I understand why people thought I was fake. I got a PragerU video, and I understand. I really do get it. But, like, I know there were people who thought I was fake, and there were people who I thought were fake, that all of a sudden after October 7th, we looked at each other and we were like, oh, you were one of the real ones, weren't you? Okay. Okay, I was wrong. Okay. And I can admit when I'm wrong. A lot, and just to be really clear, I'm not wrong often. I'm pretty much always right. I would say I have a good 95% track record, but every once in a while I will get something wrong. And I personally like it when people admit that they're wrong about things. I was wrong about Nick Fuentes. And I was wrong about the Groypers. And I was wrong about some other people on the internet too. We're going to talk about them. Well, maybe we won't ever talk about them. Yup. Cassandra and I used to have beef. Cassandra and I actually made up during the whole Eliza Blue cancellation, where we used to have each other blocked, and then I wrote an article supporting Eliza Blue because I think Eliza told the truth, and I think that she was canceled horribly. And I've gone into that other places, but Cassandra also agrees on that. And so she was Cassandra was actually pretty great about it, to be honest. She DM'd me. She was like, I think I misjudged you. I was like, yeah, I probably misjudged you too, Cassandra. But yeah, Cassandra's definitely one of the real ones. She's awesome. I'm so glad I mended fences with her, to be honest. And I'm really glad I've also mended fences with Nick Fuentes and the Groypers, because Nick Fuentes and the Groypers are the only ones that are doing anything interesting in politics right now. And I think that they're more focused than any other group I've ever seen. I think they're more driven than any other group I've seen. That's not to say that I think they're perfect. I don't. That's not to say that I agree with Nick on everything. I absolutely don't. But in coming to this kind of like revelation about, oh shit, I got a lot wrong about them. Another thing that happened is you start to see how much Nick Fuentes has been smeared. And you start to see how much the Groypers have been smeared. And listen, man, maybe it's because I've dealt with my fair share of smear campaigns and defamation on the internet. And maybe it's because I have a soft spot for the underdog. Maybe it's because I have a soft spot for people who have been massively fucked over. But if I think that you've been wronged, and I do think that Nick Fuentes and the Groypers have been wronged, and we'll talk about that, it's my general inclination to have their back. It's my general inclination to come out aggressively against the people who wrong them and say, fuck you. How fucking dare you? How fucking dare you? And so we'll talk about that today. And, I think with Nick and the Groypers, what makes me even more angry is that this started happening when Nick was 18 years old. And people say a lot of things about that guy. And, listen, I think that he is very smart. I don't think any 18-year-old can be prepared for what they've put Nick Fuentes through. And I don't think any group of young men can be prepared to be attacked all day, every day, like the Groypers are. People say that Nick Fuentes is running a cult, and they do joke about it being a cult. But the fact is, what's actually going on is Nick Fuentes is the voice for a lot of young men. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands maybe. I don't even know how many. I don't even think Nick knows how many. But Nick is the voice for a lot of young men who usually are very smart, usually are very inquisitive, have decided to look into some historical events and come to some conclusions that might be inconvenient. And they've got this one guy, and he's their voice. And he's the one that says all the things that they can't say because they're afraid that if they say it, they'll never be able to get a job. And Nick puts himself out there night after night after night after night after night, saying the things that cost him his bank accounts, that cost him payment processors, that get him attacked by the federal government, that get him in all sorts of trouble, that get him canceled, that makes it so it's difficult for him to even rent a venue to put on an event because they always end up fucking him over. Nick is their guy. And he still shows up no matter what happens. If you were a young man, like 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, some of them are a little bit older, and you had this one guy who was your voice for the things that you wanted to be able to say, and you're not being hateful, and you're not being unreasonable, and you're not being malicious, and you're not doing any of these things, but you're watching your one guy get attacked every single day, and you've been watching him get attacked sometimes for years and years and years. There are people who've been following Nick for 5, 6, 7 years since Nick was 18 and first started doing his show. And they're watching him every single day get attacked and attacked and attacked and attacked and attacked. And they're watching the attacks come from people who don't even bother to listen to what Nick actually says. The attacks are coming from people who Nick is politically inconvenient for. And the Groypers know this because the Groypers listen to everything Nick says. And so they know when things are taken out of context. They know when Nick is making a joke that is cut out of context and presented as something that he actually believes. Because the Groypers do that. The Groypers have a sense of humor. Nick has a sense of humor. This is actually one of the things that I appreciate about Nick and the Groypers so much is I love their sense of humor. But oftentimes, they're speaking in hyperbolics. They're doing thought experiments. They're saying, what if we did this, that, and the other thing? And they're presenting these kind of crazy things, these crazy ideas. You know, perhaps stuff that might be better phrased if they weren't so young and like, I mean, come on, you have to make allowances. But they make jokes, and then those jokes are mischaracterized on the internet as a serious policy position. Like, do you guys have any idea how many times I've had people say to me, Carlin, do you know that Nick Fuentes wants to burn you alive because you do witchy things? And I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure Nick Fuentes isn't going to burn me alive. And they're like, no, Carlin, have you seen this clip? Because Nick Fuentes definitely wants to burn you alive. I'm like, can we hinge back into reality for a second? Nick might be a lot of things. Nick might be a lot of things. And I know that Nick doesn't like that I'm not a Catholic. And I know the Groypers don't like that I'm not a Catholic. And I know that Nick and the Groypers don't like that I do witchy things and tarot cards and astrology. I know they don't like it. But I really don't think that they're seriously proposing burning me alive. But people actually really do believe this. And it's one of those things where I'm like, can we hinge into reality? But anyway, back to what I was saying. So you got a group of people who they have their guy, and them and their guy are getting relentlessly attacked every single day online. Don't you think that group of people would start behaving like a cult at some point? If this very large group of young men is watching their guy get attacked, get smeared, get defamed, dragged through the mud, mischaracterized, literally every day, do you really think that group of young men isn't going to be highly protective over their guy? Do you really think that group of young men who, like, by the way, all the attacks on Nick have just bonded the Groypers together as a unit even better than they probably were, prior. Like, it bonds people together really quickly. I've seen this. I've seen new people come in and watch Nick and get really involved, and it bonds everyone together because there is a fucking enemy, and that enemy is anyone that's attacking their guy. And not only is Nick getting attacked, but the Groypers also get attacked. People keep calling me. We watched the Groyper War 1 footage. The other day on Monday, we watched like a 6-hour video about the first Groyper War. And what you see in that video is Charlie Kirk and Dan Crenshaw and Kimberly Guilfoyle and Donald Trump Jr. attacking the Groypers over and over and over again, calling them neo-Nazis, calling them white supremacists. They're not neo-Nazis. They're not white supremacists. But they're getting attacked by that. They're told you're not welcome in the Republican Party. You're not welcome to. And then people wonder why they're going after Donald Trump. What people wonder why? Well, I shouldn't say that. That was a misspeak. They're not going after Donald Trump. They're going after the people Donald Trump surrounds himself with, who are giving Trump horrible advice. You wonder why that's happening? They've been told over and over and over again, you have no place in the Republican Party. We don't want you here. Fuck you. You're a neo-Nazi. You're a white supremacist when they're none of these things. Do you really think a group of people that's getting attacked all day, every day isn't going to form into some sort of cult like thing after a while. And I don't say that as any sort of bad thing. I actually think it's a good thing in this case. But of course that's going to happen. You've been attacking their favorite person in the world since he was 18 years old. Of course that's going to happen. Anyway, I've got a lot more to say about this, but I've already been talking for 40 minutes, which was not actually my intention. And there's some stuff I want to talk about today because I made a new friend last night. And we're going to be talking a lot about Amanda. Not just today. Oh, that's not what I want. How about that? That's better. We're not just going to be talking about Amanda today. Amanda and I are going to become friends. Amanda is about to become like my bestest friend ever. And the reason Amanda's about to become my bestest friend ever is because I was recently introduced to Amanda. Now, the first time I met Amanda, not there, here. The first time I met Amanda was when Amanda did what literally every single person does when they're trying to attack me. And they say, "You dated a pedophile. Oh my God. Oh my God." You see, I had been announced as a VIP at AFPAC, which made me a target, and I knew that was going to happen. And Amanda took the bait, and she did, like, this guy, this Turtle Boy asshole. Why do people take this guy seriously? I mean, you could say, Carlin, you had blue hair there. Why were people taking you seriously? That's true. I did have blue hair for about a week. I did. That was, it was what it was. It was what it was. So Amanda does what every leftist and every actually conservative, everyone that ever wants to attack me ever, they can never attack my ideas. They can never actually contend with the reasonable and rational points that I make. They can never have an intellectual discussion. The very first thing that all of these people do is they say, "You dated a pedophile." Which the too long didn't read on that for people who haven't caught up is, no, I didn't date a pedophile. That's absurd. He wasn't a pedophile. He got railroaded by the government to plead guilty to something he didn't do. And then he went to jail for a really long time because he would have gone to jail for a lot longer had he not pled guilty. And he was a guy I dated in college. He was a friend when he went to prison. And I stood by him through 8.5 years in prison. And we emailed a lot. We talked on the phone a lot. I sent him money. He sent me cards and different gifts and things. We joked about getting married someday, but it was just jokes. I was dating people the entire time that he was in prison. I met, dated, and married my husband while he was in prison. By the way, part of the reason I say this is that I said earlier that I have a soft spot for people who've been fucked over by the system. The reason that I have a soft spot for people who've been fucked over by the system is I remain loyal to someone who was fucked over by the federal government and fucked over by his best friend for 8.5 years while he was in federal prison. And I have no shame about this, and I have no guilt about this. And this is trotted out against me literally every single day by intellectually dishonest shills like Amanda, who don't care what the truth is. They don't care about pedophiles. They only care about smearing people they disagree with because they're not able to have intellectual conversations. And so if Amanda's waiting for me to bend the knee and apologize and say, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," no, it's never going to happen. It will never, ever, ever happen. And every single time people like Amanda trot out this story to try to discredit me, all they prove is that A, they have nothing better on me than my college boyfriend. Literally, imagine that. My life is so incredibly boring that literally the only thing they have to use against me was the guy I dated in college in a situation that I wasn't even involved in any of this. beyond being a friend to him while he was in prison. But they do it over and over and over again. And when they do that, they simply prove that they can't handle an intellectual discussion. Anyway, when Amanda first posted this, this was my genuine response. I genuinely thought Amanda was a tranny. I did. I was like, this is one of those like queer Marxist leftists, right? She's got to be trans. Like, even if we look at some of Amanda's Instagram, I mean, God, what an unfortunate nose. Like, you're not telling me that no one else kind of maybe made this assumption, right? Like, I mean, I'm just saying, I don't think it was not that. I don't think it was like that out of the realm. But that was my first impression. And so then I did what I do with everyone who is an intellectually dishonest shill, and they spread this smear campaign, and I blocked her because why would I want to interact with anyone that's intellectually dishonest? So I blocked Amanda, and I didn't hear from Amanda again until last night. And the reason that I heard from Amanda last night is Amanda started this anti-Groyper space. And of course, this got put into the group chats and stuff. And so I'm a little troublemaker, right? I know this is new information. I'm a little troublemaker. And so I was like, ooh, something to play with? Really? And so I went into the anti-Groyper space and I listened to it for a little while. And Amanda was just like, she was just saying wrong thing after wrong thing after wrong thing. And I was like, girl, you kind of seem obsessed. Like, really, that was my honest first impression. I was like, you kind of seem obsessed with Nick Fuentes and the Groypers. You kind of seem like, are you in love with Nick? Now, listen, I can understand having a crush on Nick. I really can. He's a very smart young man. He's very handsome. But like, I honestly was like, are you like in love with them? Because you look at Amanda's timeline and it's all about Nick Fuentes and the Groypers. Amanda literally stalks Nick Fuentes and the Groypers. She follows them around to their events. There was even, where is it? That's Amanda. The Groypers are letting Amanda know what they think of her there. So she stalks them around to all their events. She tries to publish information to dox them. All this stuff. And I think it's gotten like so ridiculous that Nick has actually told the Groypers, don't give Amanda any attention. Now, the reason that Nick told the Groypers not to give Amanda any attention is because she likes the attention too much. It's one of those things where it's like, has Amanda ever had a boyfriend? Has Amanda ever had a guy take her on a date? Like, and all of a sudden she's surrounded by all these really handsome, funny, intelligent young men, which is what the Groypers are, P.S. And she maybe likes the attention a little bit too much. But guess what? I'm not a Groyper. And while I respect Nick's orders to not give her attention, I'm not a Groyper and I'm not a boy. And I don't know. There's just something about Amanda. That makes me want to make Amanda just my new little toy that I can play with. You know? Because she's just so annoying and she's so clueless. And I kind of feel like I can play with her like a cat plays with a mouse sort of thing. And I kind of feel like, here's what I really want. Can I tell you guys what I really want? We're going to make Amanda my new best friend because I want to break Amanda. I don't want it to be, you know, I don't want to be too dramatic about things, but kind of like, here's what I'm thinking of. Not literally, I would never engage in Chinese water torture. Never in real life. But here's kind of like what I'm thinking about right now. because Amanda, obviously, based on some things that she said last night, Amanda, actually, let's just like look at her timeline. Like, I'm all over Amanda's timeline. Look at this. There I am. There I am. There I am. This is like right now. There I am. This is Amanda. Amanda literally sat at the bar next to AFPAC and got drunk just so she could stalk the Groypers. Amanda, that's weird, girl. That's weird. And so, like, I'm all over her timeline right now anyway. She's, oh, well, that's a deeply unflattering picture. So I'm all over Amanda's timeline right now anyway. And during this Twitter space last night, I requested to speak to her because I was like, you know, you're saying all these wrong things about the Groypers. You claim to be a journalist of some sort. Wouldn't you want to talk to someone that understands the Groypers and maybe have a productive conversation? So I requested to speak in Amanda's Twitter space last night. And she said, I just think that it's a little weird that someone who blocked me on Twitter is requesting to speak in my space. And I said, Amanda, that's ridiculous. If I have you blocked on Twitter, then how am I even in your Twitter space to begin with? Because apparently not the brightest crayon in the box. And then Amanda proceeded to give me a 5-minute lecture about all the things that I don't know and all the ways in which I'm being foolish about the Groypers and what a horrible person I am. And of course, Amanda was so brave that she didn't give me any opportunity to respond because although she was using her boring ass Twitter space to speak to me, she wasn't actually allowing me to respond. And that's when I decided. That's when I decided that Amanda is going to be my new plaything. Amanda's going to be my new toy. Because the Groypers really shouldn't be interacting with her. Obviously, like, don't give her the attention she wants. Nick is absolutely right. She's probably never had a boyfriend in her life, probably loves the attention of young men. I totally agree with him on that. But I'm not a young man, and I'm not a Groyper. And although I respect Nick immensely, he can't tell me what to do. He can ask, but I may or may not say yes. And I've just decided I need a new plaything because here's the thing. I'm an Aries. You can see on my shirt. Aries. It's an Aries shirt that Bot sent me. Hang on, let me get some coffee. And I know not everyone believes in astrology, fine, but I do. I'm an Aries. I'm an Aries sun. I have a Leo moon. And I also have Mars in Aries. And there's some other things too. I have Pluto in my first house. What that means for the non-astrologers out there is that I am one fiery bitch. And the thing is that I find that it's productive for me to have something to focus on just for fun, for play. And Amanda is going to be the new thing I focus on. Now, unlike the Groypers, what I'm not going to do is like go up and like get right in Amanda's face, although I might do that every once in a while just to freak her out. But I don't normally do that. What I would rather do, and this is where this comes into play. Does anyone know what this is from? Does anyone watch Vikings? The Vikings was so good. I need to rewatch Vikings. Vikings is an awesome fucking show. And this is a scene, I think it's from like season 4 of Vikings or something like that, where this is Floki. Floki is one of the main characters in the show. And Floki has betrayed the Viking king, Ragnar Lothbrok. And so and Ragnar is really pissed off about this because what happened is Floki killed someone that he really shouldn't have killed. And Floki refused to admit wrongdoing. He refused to be repentant. And so what Ragnar did to punish him was to tie him up in a cave for Chinese water torture. And this is actually a lot more devilish than it seems, because when you get tied up in a cave, you can see he's got his arms out like this. He's tied up. He's on a rock. He's on his tiptoes. And what happens is the water comes off the top of the cave and drips onto his head. Drip, 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 drip. All day. Every day. For days at a time. Drip, 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 drip. And over the course of time, when you're tied up in that position and you can't lay down and you can't sleep and you're helpless, and every few seconds, and you never know quite when it's going to be because it's irregular, because it's water dripping off of a cave, you get hit in the head with a water drop. Drip, 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 drip. You have no sleep. You better hope you've got someone to feed you. You better hope you got someone to take care of you. And you get tied up like that for days with no mercy. This literally drives you insane. The reason that I bring this up is the strategy I use when I have a new toy is I'm a psychologist. And, you know, some people might frown on this. I feel like oftentimes I use my psychology for good. I feel like oftentimes I try to be of service to other people. But if I'm inclined, I'm going to drip out torture for as long as I feel like it. Because this is where the fiery bitch part comes in. I'm not going to come right up and smack you in the face, figuratively, of course. What I'm going to do with Amanda is I'm going to figure out all of Amanda's triggers. And then I'm going to come in, I'm going to poke them. Once I figure out her triggers, it's going to be like poke, 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 poke. Just because it amuses me to do so. Because she's fucking around with people that I like. And so if she wants to fuck around, she can find out. She wants to fuck around with young men that are inexperienced, and she wants to expose them and get them in trouble and drag them through the mud. I'm not inclined to be nice to people like this. She's a leftist. She is a leftist. Now, I don't think she's Antifa like Nick says she is, but she's absolutely a leftist. So why should I have mercy on her? Why don't I just instead figure out her triggers and then go in and poke, 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 and she'll never know when it's coming. And she'll never see it. And sometimes I go right in and I get in her face, and sometimes I do it a little bit lighter. For as long as I feel like it. Really. And every time Amanda gives me any reaction at all, that gives me more information about what her triggers are, because I'm a smart girl. And what if I did that for days, weeks, months, as long as I feel like it, until I break her? Psychologically, of course. Because we obviously know Amanda's going to watch this, right? We know Amanda's going to watch this. What Amanda should know is that I have psychologically broken dozens of people on the internet. That's true. We can just admit it. I have psychologically broken dozens of people on the internet. There are people who used to be normal people who now get up and every single day, all they think about is me. All they post about is me. They obsess about me all the time. I even fucking broke James Lindsay, and I haven't even begun to break that one. That one is James Lindsay is baby broken about me. We're going to do more work on that one. I have people who will be obsessed about me until the day they die. That's how good I am at this. I have some sort, everyone has gifts. Everyone has gifts. And the gift that I was granted is, for some reason, I am really, really good at getting in people's heads and figuring out exactly the thing to say that breaks them for the rest of their fucking life. And then I poke and I poke and I poke, and they're never quite the same. And I think Amanda is just going to be a good little experiment. I think Amanda has put herself in a position where, she wants to fuck with young men. She wants to smear people on the internet. She wants to think she's a hero. She can tell herself whatever she wants. But at the end of the day, psychology is psychology, and triggers are triggers, and she's really not that smart to begin with. And so we're going to have some fun with this one. This is going to be one of those things I take my time with. This is going to be one of those things that's not going to be the big payoff right away. I know sometimes I'm in Aries, I want everything right away, but this is going to be one of those things we really just savor and enjoy, because I think she's earned it. I think she's earned it. And with that, I want to just respond to Amanda. We're not going to listen to this whole anti-Groyper space, but it was very nice of Amanda. Where's the thing? Amanda clipped out the part where she says, Amanda's like, Carlin is really upset with me because of this. I'm not actually upset with her. Not actually upset. Not upset at all. But I thought that I would just play this little clip of, this was last night in the Twitter space, and Amanda thinks that she's going to teach me about the Groypers. Amanda thinks that she's going to teach me. And Amanda decided to give me a little lecture in the middle of her Twitter space. And so I thought we'd just listen to it real quick and maybe talk about some things Amanda said. Let's see.
Okay, here's the thing, Carlin. You've had me blocked. I quote tweeted you, and you immediately blocked me. And then you bitched about me after blocking.
Well, actually, I called you a tranny. And then I blocked you.
Very cowardly behavior. When I block people, it's because they're annoying. And maybe I was annoying.
Oh, by the way, here are the rules. Here are the rules to this little game that Amanda and I are going to be playing. Here are the rules. If Amanda blocks me at any time, why do people keep calling me? Why do people, no one has called me all day. And now everyone is calling me between 5 and 6 o'clock at night. Here are the rules to this game, Amanda. Because Amanda says, I never block people. I never block people on Twitter. Okay. So then, Amanda, you're going to leave me unblocked, right? Because you're definitely not afraid of me. But if you block me, that means I win, you lose. So the minute that Amanda blocks me, she has admitted defeat. She has admitted that I've gotten underneath her skin. She's admitted that I won and she lost. So let's just take that as our goal.
But, you kept going. So I'm not sure. The thing is, I think you have bad judgment for many reasons. Let's start with,
Carlin, you have bad judgment. You just have bad judgment, Carlin. You think the Groypers like you, but they really do not like you. And that's exactly what she's going to say, and we'll listen to it in a second. But isn't it kind of funny that the woman who has literally made it her job to stalk the Groypers seems to be a little jealous, doesn't she? Why would it be so important to Amanda to convince me that the Groypers don't actually like me? Why would that be so important to her? Could it be that Amanda really wants the Groypers to like her and they don't, and they don't want to be around her? and they don't want to date her, and they don't want to fuck her, and they don't want anything to do with her? Could it be that she's just a little jealous that the Groypers are nice to me and not to her?
This. First of all, the Groypers are constantly making fun of you to your face, behind your back, all this shit, and yet you still like go to AFPAC, like for validation, for attention. I don't know.
Okay, so let's talk about this. The Groypers make fun of you, Carlin. I don't know if you know this, but the Groypers make fun of you behind your back. Oh, they make fun of you to your face too. But you are still so desperate for validation that you still went to AFPAC. How dare you? How dare you go to AFPAC? Amanda, have you never hung around with boys before, Amanda? Like, really? Wait, seriously? Can I send you the roast of Amanda? Yes, please do. Please do. If anyone wants to send me anything Amanda related, my DMs are open. Carlin, the Groypers are making fun of you. Amanda, have you ever hung out with boys before? Like, really? Have you ever hung out with boys before? Because only a woman who has no experience with men, only a woman who has never hung out with boys before would say they're constantly making fun of you, okay? I know the Groypers make fun of me. Do you know what the Groypers also do? They make fun of each other. They tease each other all the time. They rag on each other all the time. Half of Nick's super chats are the Groypers teasing him over something or other. Like, this is, they do this right out in the open, Amanda. This is not hard to figure out. And am I positive that there's probably group chats somewhere where Groypers and probably even Nick have called me fat and ugly and made fun of me and all that stuff? Yeah, I'm sure that exists too. But the thing of it is, Amanda, what do boys do on the playground when they like girls? What do boys do? They pull their pigtails. They throw shit at them. They insult them. Boys also roughhouse with each other. They insult each other. They do all this stuff. You think I'm not aware the Groypers make fun of me? That is their culture, Amanda. And the fact that you obsess about them so much and you haven't figured out this little detail, the reason that they make fun of me most of the time is it's teasing. The same teasing they do with each other, the same teasing they do to any of the other women that hang around them. It's teasing to let you know that you are part of the club. It's not meant to be taken personally. It's not meant to be vicious. Like, there is a difference. There is a difference between insulting someone to tease them and to play and to banter, and insulting someone to be cruel and to inflict pain. And I just don't know why people don't get the difference to this. Like, you take someone like, we talked about Big Tech yesterday. Let's talk about him. And no, I didn't watch any of the show he did because I don't really care. But when Big Tech was doing those things to me, he was being cruel. When Big Tech was showing memes on his show or showing stuff about me on his show, he was being cruel in order to inflict pain. And I know that because I can feel that shit because I'm an empath. What the Groypers are doing isn't to be cruel. It's to be boys. It's to roughhouse and to play and do all this stuff. And the thing of it is, Amanda, if they really didn't want me hanging around them, I wouldn't be in their group chats. I wouldn't be invited to their events. I wouldn't have been invited to their after party after AFPAC. Like, so you trying to gaslight me to believe that they don't really like me and they just make fun of me and rag on me all the time? Best of luck, but that's not going to work.
And so when you come to me and you're like, I will explain Groyperism to you, I just can't take it seriously because the fact is that you
because I am not a serious journalist. And Amanda last night was making it seem like she would only talk to people who had the same followers as she did. If you don't have the same followers as me, then you have nothing valuable to say. You know what serious journalists do, Amanda? They actually talk to people with different points of views. You think you understand who the Groypers are? You have no fucking idea.
You are just like flailing and trying to get
I'm flailing.
whatever movement or acceptance that you'll have.
You're only hanging out with the Groypers because you want acceptance. But I thought they didn't like me. I thought they were just teasing me and making fun of me. So why would I feel like I have acceptance from them if they're just teasing and making fun of me all the time? Like, Amanda, you've contradicted yourself within less than 20 seconds. Do you even hear yourself, girl?
Be real, dude. I watched your streams before AFPAC.
She watched my streams. Amanda keeps denying she watched my streams. Amanda's going to deny she watches this stream, but we know. She watches my streams. Got it.
Watched your streams right after AFPAC, and I could read the fucking comments, and like that is like what it is. So
you can read the comments. What comments specifically? What comments were you reading, Amanda? Because I have pages of comments from the Groypers that aren't mean, that aren't making fun of me, that are actually agreeing with me. So what comments were you reading? Do you want to be specific, Amanda, or are you just making shit up?
No, because you're obviously also like a compulsive liar. You've had me blocked for months ever since I tweeted about you like going to AFPAC and your ex.
You are a compulsive liar because you had me blocked. Really? I'm a compulsive liar because I had you blocked. Okay. Hasn't she seen the movie Meet Joe Black with Anthony Hopkins, Brad Pitt, and Claire Filani? She needs to stop inviting evil energy into her life. I think that's really good advice, Amanda. I think that's really good advice. You should stop inviting evil energy into your life. It reads all over your face, girl. It reads all over your voice. Reads all over. Amanda, you're gonna start looking really old really soon. I promise you. It's not like you're not like a spring chicken girl. You don't want to see the results on your face within the next 5 years. I promise you. I'm trying to help you, Amanda. I'm giving you really, really, really good advice. Play.
And so I don't have time for that. And
I don't have time.
I don't block them. I don't block fucking anybody. You have to just be so fucking annoying for me to block you. I'm not afraid of you guys. Like, that's why I show up at your events. So yeah, this is not a platform Groyper space. But
by the way, I have more followers than Amanda does. So it's not like I need Amanda to platform me. In fact, I feel like I'm doing Amanda a favor. I feel like I'm doing Amanda a favor by even platforming her in this way. I feel like I'm doing Amanda a favor by making her my target to begin with.
Even if it would certainly not be a platform the woman who is fucking clout chasing off of these guys half of her age.
Oh my God, the Groypers are half of your age. Do you have no propriety? Amanda, between the two of us, I am the one invited to their events. You are the one that stalks their events. Literally. That's what you do, Amanda. I didn't build a career around the Groypers. I built a career out of researching and analyzing the far left, of which you are a part of, Amanda. So don't make it seem like I'm just targeting you for no reason. I have an entirely separate career. I have an entirely separate job. You have literally built your life around Nick Fuentes and the Groypers. And Amanda, don't you think it's interesting that you claim I'm using them to clout chase when would you even have any views on your content at all if you weren't obsessed with them? They are the reason you get clicks. They are the reason you get likes. Nick Fuentes has probably put more money in your pocket than anything else that you have ever done or will ever do. So that kind of seems like a little bit of projection to me, Amanda. I'm invited to their spaces. I'm welcome into their spaces. You're the one that sits in the bar next door to AFPAC, drinking your sorrows away, with just pining to possibly be in the vicinity of the Groypers. So which one of us is obsessed, girl? I have a whole other thing. You have nothing else in your life other than them.
Because again, they don't like you, and you still.
They don't like you, Carlin. They don't like you. Why won't you just accept that the Groypers don't like you? Amanda, that's called projection, girl. That's called projection. You're desperate for the Groypers to like you. You're desperate for the Groypers to acknowledge you. You're pissed off that the Groypers are acknowledging other people that are not you. You're pissed off that you put so much time and energy into stalking them all over the place. You go all the way to Detroit to AFPAC, can't even get into the event. No one wants to talk to you. No one wants to be your friend. No one wants to date you. No one wants to fuck you. No one wants any of that stuff. You're the one they don't like, girl.
Are just like so hard up, and what
So
you
hard up.
also, as I'm like going back in my mind now, like bizarrely like decided you would talk shit about Lauren Witzke, who I assure you at AFPAC has more clout and standing than you do.
Oh my God, Carlin, you talked shit about Lauren Witzke. Amanda, that was a long time ago, girl. Lauren Witzke said that she wanted my husband deported. I called her an evil bitch. Then Lauren Witzke got banned on Twitter and I was not upset about it. And then I was in a debate with Lauren Witzke where I gently, oh so gently, reminded Lauren Witzke that I was married when she was not married. But that was a long time ago, Amanda. That was at the beginning of 2021. Things have changed. And yeah, you're right. Lauren Witzke has a lot more clout than I do. 100%. And, you know, she's been around that space a lot longer and so deserved. I'm not trying to take anyone's place or anything. But what I will tell you, Amanda, and what I said last night is that I just talked to Lauren Witzke's husband like a couple weeks ago. like Lauren Witzke and I are cool. Lauren Witzke and I, hang on, sorry. Lauren Witzke and I follow each other on Twitter. We've exchanged DMs. Lauren Witzke's husband is cool. Lauren Witzke just had a kid. They've got an infant at home. Everyone's doing great so far as I know. But to say that, like, oh my God, Carlin, you made fun of Lauren Witzke and you really think that the Groypers like you. You make fun of Lauren Witzke. If there's one thing that I actually like about the Groypers is that there can be skirmishes. And then, you know, eventually it does tend to just kind of like fade away. I'm not saying everyone gets along. They don't all get along and stuff like that. But I will say that if that's the best that Amanda has on me, that I once made fun of Lauren Witzke and she and I once had beef, that since has resolved itself. And Amanda, here's the thing, girl. If you were a real journalist, you could fact check this so easily. All you need to look at the fact is like Lauren Witzke and I follow each other on Twitter. Like, it's not that hard, girl. It's not that hard. Fact checks are important. And it's important to check things before you say them on the internet because you are a serious journalist, Amanda. Remember that. You are a serious journalist, and therefore it is your job to literally fact check shit before you say it on the internet. Because if you're not fact checking, you're just nothing more than a little propaganda artist. Why did she say that about my husband? Probably because she's not married and has no one interested in her.
Just so you, in conclusion, you have very poor judgment, and as a result, you cannot speak in my space.
Oh, stunning and brave. Stunning and brave.
Okay. Anyway, sorry about that.
You have very poor judgment. And as a result, I will not speak to you because Amanda is a very serious journalist, guys. Remember. Very serious journalist. But if you put this phrase, Nick Fuentes doing a 4.5-minute rant into Twitter. Okay, hang on. Maybe we can watch that. Hang on. Let me pull this up in a different window just so you don't see anything you're not supposed to see. Nick Fuentes doing a 4.5-minute Oh, here it is. Okay, I found it. Found it. Let's see what this is. So that was Amanda trying to gaslight me last night. And it was just such a pathetic display that I was like, oh, this is just too good. It's just too ripe. It's just too juicy. I can't help myself. I can't help it. Anyway, let's see what Nick has to say about Amanda. This is from February 25th, 2024. Nick is looking very handsome in a hoodie, of course.
And I got to give a hat tip to Ryan Sanchez, culture war criminal. I reposted today. He harassed one of these Antifa journalists and really mogged the shit out of her. I posted a picture that he put on his Twitter, and he's like, I mean, he's literally on top of her. She's giving him the finger. She's covering her eyes.
It was that picture I showed you guys earlier.
Total dominance. And she's like an Antifa journalist. But you know what? I thought that was awesome. I thought it was a great picture. But for future reference, you can't give these people even that much attention, because I'll bet you, and you know I'm right about this, you know it, she knows it, pretty much the whole world knows. She loves the attention that she's getting from Ryan Sanchez.
Yes, she does. Criminal. Correct.
And she can pretend that she doesn't. And she, of course, is our political adversary. So she writes nasty things about us and she ruins lives and things like that. But you know that on a purely personal, primal, instinctual level, she's just loving that attention. When she's covering her face and giving the finger, she's blushing.
True.
So don't give her that. Don't give her that much attention. And you want to know why she likes that? Because she's ugly. So she doesn't get attention like that from guys. She doesn't get attention. Maybe she gets attention from like pussy liberal guys or something like that.
I was just going to say that. That's a horrible freeze frame. Hang on. That's slightly better. I was just going to say what Nick said. It's not that Amanda doesn't get attention from guys. I promise you she gets attention from guys. Any girl can find someone to sleep with them. It's really not that hard. The problem is that Amanda gets attention from soy boy liberal guys, most of whom are just like, they're like, I mean, I don't think Amanda's actually in Antifa, but I think some of her followers are, because I've been interacting with some of her followers and they're just like the most low testosterone, pathetic, like weak people. And so by comparison, like you have the Groypers, many of whom do present masculinely. They do have like a presence about them. They do have like aura. And so you compare like the guys that Amanda probably usually gets attention from, these like weak soy boy liberals who are like male feminists, and you compare that to Groyper energy, I bet it's like night and day.
Maybe she gets attention from like pussy liberal guys or something like that. But she doesn't get that kind of attention from guys. Guys don't look at her. That's why she wears pink. That's why she wears bright, hot pink everything to stand out. Because she's ugly. Because she's got a pig nose. Because her nose looks like a pig's snout. Because it's upturned. And her teeth are fucked up.
Teeth are fucked up.
And she's got thin lips. And she's got these lizard eyes. And the nose of a pig's snout. And a frumpy little body. She's got a little muffin top. Like me. Quite like me. I've got the same thing, but I'm a boy. So it's a little bit different. She's got a frumpy little muffin top. With her dress.
Nick really is fat.
Kind of caresses this little muffin top hanging over. There's a crease. You see, there's a little crease. And it's just gross. So don't give her so much attention. She doesn't deserve that. Remember.
So I want to say, in defense of women who have bellies, I have a belly, but I'm fucking married. I'm fucking married. I don't need to be impressive for anyone. And it is too. Like, let's go back and look at Amanda's Instagram. Hang on. Let's go back and look. Like really, like, again, I'm usually not one to attack someone's appearance, but that nose, it's just really like, oh, come on. She's never been surrounded by like so many like good looking men in her life as she was right there. Look at that. Is there one with her? Yeah, you can definitely tell she's got a belly. She's probably wearing shapewear under that, smooth it a little bit. And again, like, I've got a belly. I'm not a thin girl, but like, you know, I'm married. I am married. And I have a better attitude, and I know how to take a fucking joke. Is there anything else on here? Ew, Patrick Casey. Look at this. And listen, man, I don't have the most perfect teeth in the world. I don't. I've always had bad teeth. It's just like, it's just part of my reality. But girl, like, that's gross. See here, you can see the belly too. I don't know. Amanda, you got to get yourself in husband landing shape, girl. I was much thinner when I landed my husband. Now, to be fair, my husband was also much thinner. Like, my husband and I both gained weight. We've been married almost 13 years, all right? But like, listen, like, we do just have to face facts here that like, she is of a certain age, and at some point she's going to want to land a husband. I don't know who she's going to land with this awful like, look at all the pink. Just something to work on, Amanda. Seriously. Nick is right. Nick is giving you good and helpful advice.
These people are our enemies. We're not trying to make these people feel the love. Okay. We're not trying to make, and I'm not talking about leftists in general. I'm talking about these Antifa types, journalists. These are people that we just have to disrespect because they're pieces of shit. So don't give her so much attention. She's not used to that. She goes there and oh, I guess I'm the Antifa journalist. No, you're fucking ugly. You're ugly. You're ugly, and that is why you resent the world. That's the difference. On some level, I don't know if the physiognomy creates the interior life or the interior life creates the physiognomy.
The interior life creates the physiognomy.
Because you imagine, if you're an ugly person, the world is ugly to you. If you're an ugly person, you go somewhere and people say, hey, get lost. Go take your ugly face somewhere else. And a little piece of them breaks irreparably. And this happens thousands of times. And then an ugly person becomes cynical and jaded and unkind. Whereas a beautiful person goes out and everyone wants more of them. Everybody wants to be around them. Everybody invites them places because they want to look at them. They show up places and people say, well, hello. And their heart grows 3 sizes. So, you know, one has to wonder.
No, I mean, so I'm going to say our internal creates our external. So if you're constantly getting positive reinforcement in the world, that means you're going to have in your head, I'm beautiful, people like me, people want to be around me. That's going to create more people who like you and want to be around you. But the trick is that you don't need to be the prettiest person in the world. You don't need to be the thinnest person in the world. We all know people who maybe they aren't the prettiest person or the most handsome person or the thinnest person or any of that, but they have that presence, they have that charisma, they're fun to hang out with, people smile when they come around, because in their head, they know people like me, people want to be around me. They aren't expecting people to come at them. Amanda is one of those people that is expecting the world to hate her, and so she has a certain look about her, and she ends up stalking people for a living, and she creates this reality in which all of these mean people are against her. That reflects her inner experience. If Amanda was liked, if Amanda was lovable, if Amanda had other things in her life that wasn't stalking young men who don't want to be around her, she would probably end up looking differently. It's really that simple. So let's see. What else do I have on Amanda? I think that's it for today. Now this is going to be a little ongoing game. Like I said, I don't really want to listen to Amanda's whole 2.5 hour Twitter space because I have other things I need to do. But I guess I just wanted to take today to introduce you guys to Amanda, because Amanda's going to be in our life. Amanda is my project, and I'm going to follow Amanda. I've even turned notifications on Twitter, and I'm just going to be there. Every time Amanda does something, I'm just going to be there, listening in, learning about her, figuring out those triggers, figuring out those things that I can poke at. Poke. I'll be looking for Amanda next time I go to AFPAC or an event like that. I'll be looking at all the other venues for Amanda. I'll go in, I'll poke, I'll whisper in her ear, Amanda, I know it's you. We finally meet, girl. We finally meet. We'll see if she has the balls to talk to me in person. She doesn't have the balls to do it online. But really, if I stand right in front of her, you think that Amanda is going to be able to ignore me? I don't think Amanda's going to be able to ignore me. And then we'll just, and maybe if I'm just standing right in front of Amanda, maybe then I'll be able to block her from photographing the young men that she's trying to stalk. You know, so many fun games we can play. And Amanda, as you know, I have friends to help me with this. This isn't just me, girl. This isn't just me. None of us like you. None of us think you're a good person. You are our enemy. And, you know, the Groypers can't come at you because you like it too much. But I can. I can. We're going to have fun. Now, guys, before we wrap up, I had hoped to do something today. I have a thread on Twitter going. I don't think we're going to have time to do it today. But I had a thread on Twitter going with some of the best Groyper War II edits that are coming out. And I wanted to play some of them on the stream today, but we're not going to have time because I have something else I need to get ready for. But I do want to return to it. And I want to encourage people to look through those edits. Listen, man, one of the reasons that I'm really enjoying being around the Groypers right now is they're producing some really, really, really cool stuff. They're making these amazing edits, all these amazing memes, just, supporting their initiatives in terms of trying to get Trump to fire his campaign advisors. They've made progress in that. Corey Lewandowski just got brought on to the campaign today, so that's going to be considered a victory. They're trying to get Trump to announce an immigration moratorium. They're trying to get Trump to announce that he does no war with Iran, commit to not going to war with Iran. They've got so much cool stuff. My replies on this are just absolutely full with memes and videos. And this is the type of energy everyone should have. And this is why I like being around the Groypers, because, even though they can be a pain in the ass, they create really cool shit. And when they focus their energy, there's no more engaged group on the internet right now. Oh God, Loomer has lost her fucking mind. Just side note before we wrap up, and by the way, I actually have something cool going on in about 25 minutes that I think you guys are going to like, but let me just pull this up. Hang on. Let me make sure that you're not seeing something that I don't want you to see. Hang on. Not that one. Do this one. Laura Loomer has lost her goddamn mind. I'm sorry. Like, what she's doing is not appropriate. She's being fucking racist, too. Let's just go down. Oh, God, she's fighting with Nick. Loomer was being completely racist towards Tenryo earlier. And actually, Nick had a really funny clip that if I find it, I'll be able to play it. Look, she's going right at Nick. Holy shit. Nick Fuentes and the Groypers are embarrassed that Donald Trump team wants nothing to do with them. So now they're saying the reason they brought Cora Lewandowski, blah, 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 blah. Loomer is crying because Nick told Laura Loomer to stop being racist. Where is it? Hang on. She tweets so much. Who can keep up with how much this woman tweets? Swear to God. Here she is. She's tweeting Reactive May. I am just sick of people who lie and pretend to be Trump supporters, openly working to sabotage his campaign less than 90 days out from a general election instead of getting off their lazy asses to do something and make a difference. I guess people like Tenryo would rather sit at home and collect welfare instead of actually working to help make a difference. Bro, that's racist, Laura. That's racist. And what happened is that yesterday there's a groyper named Tenryo who also is a Trump supporter. And Tenryo, as you can see, is very, 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 very black. Very black. Now, Laura Loomer apparently is personally offended that Tenryo is not saying the things that Laura Loomer wants him to say. And so Laura Loomer says he is behaving like a rabid dog. Tenryo literally made a statement that was like, I would really like Trump to fire Chris Lasavidas, and I want no more immigration, and I want no war with Iran. And he was actually like perfectly reasonable about it. And Laura Loomer is saying he's behaving like a rabid dog. It's a little racist, Laura. Little racist. And then said, you know, Tenryo would rather sit home and collect welfare. Little racist, Laura. And listen, yeah, it's a little racist. Yeah, a little. And I don't feel like I'm being hyperbolic. I'm just pointing out that Laura Loomer's being a little racist. And so let's actually play this clip from Nick from his show last night.
Yeah, enough of Laura Loomer's racist attack on Tenryo.
Yeah. I'm
really getting sick of bossy Jewish conservatives who think they can tell black people what to do and control their voice. They did it to Ye, Candace Owens, now Tenryo. These bossy Jews need to stop bossing black conservatives around. You don't control them anymore. Slavery is over. You do not control them anymore. It's enough.
Stephen Nelson sent $5.
It's inappropriate, Laura. It is inappropriate. It is inappropriate to call black men you disagree with rabid dogs. Tell them to sit at home and collect welfare. And then to say that they aren't Trump supporters when in fact they volunteered at Trump events and defame them on the internet because you don't like what they said. It's a little racist. Yep. Tenryo is a groyper. He has a channel on Nick's platform. He also happens to be a Trump volunteer. There's literal video of Tenryo volunteering at Trump campaigns. And yet Laura Loomer is attacking him because he dared to be a black man and say the things that Laura Loomer didn't want him to say. Anyway, you can find Laura Loomer's meltdown over on Twitter. But for right now, guys, I do have to go because in about 20 minutes, and actually, this will be something I think the Groypers will find interesting. In about 20 minutes, I'm going to be doing a Twitter space. I'm a little nervous about this Twitter space. Not just because I hope my microphone holds up and doesn't turn into robot voice, but the other reason I'm nervous about this Twitter space is that, well, for the longest time, Groypers have been trying to convince me that all the socialism stuff that I do is just the result, is essentially Jewish. And I try to explain to the Groypers over and over, I'm trying to say like, okay, I understand the points you're making in terms of the historical development of it. I get it. I really do. I understand that most of the Frankfurt School was made up of Jewish people. I get it. However, what I do is I focus on the radical revolutionary far left today in the real world, the real activists, the real organizations. I go undercover at their events. I know what they talk about. I know them better than anyone else in the country right now. And if you think I'm wrong, then name a name that knows them better than I do. Because in terms of like the boots on the ground activists, the organizations, the people who are pushing all the crazy shit, actually doing the work, I know that shit better than anyone. I know how they're funded. They're not funded by Jews. They're almost entirely self-funded. I know who the key players are. I know who the big names are. I know who the organizations are that you need to keep an eye on. And I'm sorry, but the vast majority of people are not Jewish. They're just not. There are some here and there. And I think we can agree, okay, I'm on board with this. The origin point was Jewish. But what I'm really going to be looking for, and I know that Zach isn't a groyper, but he doesn't mind Nick. And people told me to talk to him and they tried to arrange this. And so I was like, fine. But really what I'm going to be looking for is I want Zach and other people, if they have receipts, to help me connect the dots between the JQ and what real socialist activists are doing in the real world. But I cannot emphasize this enough. I don't want fucking propaganda. I don't want shit taken out of context. I don't want anything earlier than 1990. And if people come in and they start talking about World War II, I'm going to be like, no, not what I asked for. I'm not saying that's not important to someone. It's just not what I asked for this. I want to know how the alleged Jews are driving what is going on in America right now. Because I've heard more than a few people say this. They're like, Carlin, if we just fix this problem of being beholden to powerful Jewish elites, that'll fix all the socialism stuff. And I'm like, I don't think that's true. Well, then it is incumbent upon you to be able to demonstrate the link. And if you can't do that, you're just making shit up. This is what I do not want. Carlin, don't you know that there is no evidence at all that the Jews are involved because they just get the non-Jews to do their dirty work for them? Then provide evidence. This is not acceptable. This is not receipts. This is not evidence. This is not real world. I'm not gonna accept. It's a secret, and you just have to know. And no. I want real world evidence. I want real receipts. And if you can't provide that, then I don't care. So the thing is that is the fact that a Jewish lawyer is defending Antifa, is that evidence? No, it's not. The only thing that's evidence of is there is a Jewish lawyer. Do you know how many Jewish lawyers there are? How many Jewish lawyers exist that don't defend Antifa? For real. How many Jewish lawyers exist in the world today that don't have any Antifa clients at all? So I understand what you're getting at, but that's not gonna convince me of anything. So anyway, I'm gonna be doing this Twitter space at 7 o'clock in about 15 minutes. Fingers crossed that I don't have radio like crazy robot voice. And we're gonna talk. And we're gonna see how it goes. And I genuinely want Zach to bring me evidence. I really do. And we'll just see. And we'll do that, and that's really all I have, guys. So thank you for being here for the kickoff of Amanda Gate. I don't know if Amanda Gate is the right word. Amanda War. Amanda. What should we call this? What should we call this mission against Amanda? What should we call this before we wrap up? What should we call this? I don't know if I like a mandate though. A mandatory intervention. Amanda Kerfuffle. Amanda Banda. I don't know if I like that. Ooh, the Amanda Files. That's not bad. Amanda Transvestigation. Oh, shit. That's funny. Operation Desert Womb. The Amanda Conflict. Amanda Knows. Uh-huh. All right, we've got some good options. We'll have to think on that. The right name will make itself known. Have faith. This is going to be going on for a while. We don't need to come up with a name right away. But more to come. Amanda and I are going to be besties. And yeah, I'm going to go get ready for that Twitter space now. I will see you guys soon. Take care.